Let me come to Mr. Boluwatife Arewa now. This waste to wealth. I've been talking a lot about turning waste into income, and I believe at some point, if this pulls through the way I imagine it would, we might have to change the name of waste. Might be something else, now that is becoming profitable. But talk to me about waste to wealth.
All right, thank you. I think I will start with the fact that you mentioned the right thing. I think there needs to be that perspective change from what refers to as wastes. I think in the industry we like to refer to as resources, right? I think that mentality shift would help us define what we actually need to do. And I love the fact that we started on the right note by saying what could technology infuse and change the dynamics of what we think is obtainable. And I like to give some solid facts because this is what we've been doing for almost half a decade now. Speaking on plastic alone, right? What we're able to recover is less than 1% of the demand. And I'm speaking on both local demand and international demand. Just within the past 8 months, we've had about 4% from both continents now, Europe and Asia, come down here in Nigeria to say, how can we do business, right? So let's start from the fact that where whatever waste we are generating is going to as a resource. So whatever resource now, so let's use that word, the resource that we are generating is going to is not a problem, right? Because both local demand and international demand already exist. And I know most of us, one or two of us, within the past week, most likely you've seen some truck carrying scrap metals, some trucks carrying maybe carton waste or what have you. I know directly or indirectly you've seen them, right? So this tells you that the economic signature of what is to happen already exists. That pathway is there. Where the key challenge and problem lies is how do we have structures that ensure that we can recover this resource from source. I hope I'm not doing a rhyme here, right? And that's where technology like what we do at Scrap is coming, right? And where the name comes in is simple. Scrap pays you, right? We're intentional about telling you that there needs to be a change, and what technology has been able to do. And just to speak, because this has to do with real estate, we're currently working with a very good number of real estate firms, right? So immediately they are structured either commercial purpose or residential purpose design buildings right from source. In fact, to the extent we're currently looking to work with a structure where they are building for a bank. Like what I'm trying to speak is right from the source, the foundation of building that, because most times you see us build very amazing structures. There are no system to effectively recover this item from source. Once these items get to landfill, get to drainage and what have you, you've reduced the quality. For example, it requires more energy to convert. If we're just direct PET bottles that don't have some sort of impurities or something, you can just do code watching and you're good to go, and that thing becomes of value. But if they've gone through so many subphases, it takes longer and require more resources to process them to what is usable. Let me give an example of, I like highlighting them because we've done very good work with them. Bro, for example, I don't know if you know them. The only thing they need to do for everybody within their structures, because with technology, as I said, right on WhatsApp that everybody has here or USSS system, individual tenants or occupants with if it's if not a residential or commercial structure, they are able to say this is the volume of what I have, make a request, and because of such partnership, we have structures that ensure that those items are taken from source. And the beautiful thing about technology is that we really don't need to be there. I know most of us here we know about, let's say, OPay, PAMPay, or what have you. What they've been able to do with financial system is to implement a decentralized process whereby you and I can become some sort of bankers. I think I got in quite late yesterday because of what I was doing in office. At around 10 p.m., I needed cash. I couldn't go to an ATM, but I had somebody on my street that could get me money, right? I know we use it. That system has ensured that for you to access banking service, you don't need to be within the four walls of a banking hall, right? Why don't we export something like that? So you don't need a PSP, right? You don't need to wait for some, because what happens is most time we want to keep that thing on there, we commingle them, we mix them up, and it cannot be used. For structures like that, what you only need to do is you have a bunch of carton, plastic, or whatever type of item you generate. Make a request. With systems like Squarespace, for example, now individuals are then able to register as what we refer to as agents, which means people have space in their compound. People have space. In fact, you have people that take this as business, have shops that you've rented along that your street. Somebody there is already there. Without, before you get there, you already know the value of what you are taking.
And it's quite interesting, you know. Growing up, I know there were a couple of guys, you know, that will come around, they'll be hitting, you know, metal, say they want to buy, you know, your waste. They've been doing that for the longest time.
Yeah.
They say, they buy battery or they buy this and that. That's still happening.
It's happened at scale.
Are we integrating them?
Let me give you an example, just to make a journey from what I was saying. One of those, just an example, because sometimes we see those guys and you ask yourself, why do they keep doing that then? And this is a private information, but I know one of them that we processed payment of about 14 million for just last month. Yeah.
Maybe I should change my profession at this time.
And what does the person collect? Ask me. The person only collect pets. That thing that you see in front of you. Yes, just this.
Pet bottles.
Yeah, he did about, if my mind gives me the right data, about maybe 14 point something tons of this. Right? And this is the type of person you're talking about. But what we've been able to do is to give them the right technology to do this, give them the right operation structure to do this. Right? So he does not necessarily need to go around as he used to. Because right on your WhatsApp, make a request, we call them agents. So that guy already has a store, he collects that, and he can either come to you to pick it, or you take it down to people already know. Right? So it's then restructures. So sometimes we have this thing around, but there are no processes to effectively recover them.
Right. Thank you for that, Boluwatife. And FYI, those bottles beside you, I'm taking them. Nobody take the bottles. Leave them for me.
Those are my thoughts.
Collectively, we can do this. Let me hear from you now, Boluwatife. What solutions are you seeing from the private sector that we should use at this time?
Okay, I think I would start from where Doctor stopped. The place of government, as far as waste management is concerned, I think for me, and this is based on experience, should rest heavily from defining policies and support, right? The impact of if government enact a policy that says each household must do this, and not just policy, because there was a point in time, because to be truthful, we do a lot of work with Loma. You know, we engage them so well, we have meetings. In fact, at a point in time, sometime in 2021, the Lagos State government, through last week program, supported us, right, with some sort of cash support. So to be, it might not be very public, but to a very good extent, there are shiftings. So of course, there is still a long way to go, right? But back to what I was saying is that we should not only enact policy, because I must tell you, if you have access to this policy, some of them already exist. But where the actual, problem lies is there are no enforcement and follow-throughs. I can tell you for free, those things exist. They will share, will review some of them, but where the actual problem lies is actual follow through with those and ensuring that they are properly enforced. All right, there was a point in time in Lagos here where there are blue bins and when it was to be rolled out. Right, so I think that is there. The next layer of things is I believe to scale things, there is an impact of the private sector. It must be a very cordial handshake. For example, what we've been able to do, and I like saying this, sometimes I see what we do as a synergy of taking waste off, and also empowering people. What waste has done has gone beyond just waste. It's more or less like what brings economic resource to people. And we're talking about people who most likely wouldn't have had anything to do. And these people are now, you have people that runs 3, 4, 5 locations collecting stuff, right? Some of these persons are in fact educated. And when I mean educated people, you have lawyers, because when the economic case is clear, and this is what I'm about to nail in on, the economic case of, because when we talk about waste, sometimes, and whenever I have the opportunity, I like making that very clear, that let's take the ideology of waste conversation away from something that we just do to just make things happen, just help, it's just something. No, we must shift that conversation to a realm that this is an economic resource. And when we try to, train people, because we have some, onboarding, of course, all of them are online and anybody here can be synced into it. We've seen people that stopped what they were doing. We have somebody who runs a location in Abeokuta, runs in Lagos, I think runs in Shagam, right? Because they've seen that if I can use X capital, and that's where we tell people, X capital, within a space of 3-4 weeks, I will have X plus 50%, for example. So it's a clear, and with that, you've shifted the narrative from, okay, how do we drag everybody and all of that? So there is a reason behind it. Then say, okay, let's do this. And in that way, the policies that government makes ensure that there is fluidity in what we then do. Okay, everybody then knows that, okay, it's a must that this must be done. If this is not done, Prof was talking about fines and all of that. Those are where I expect government to come in to ensure that private sector, they are trying to drive these things. There are policies that back them up and also ensure fluidity for what they do.
Right. All right. So much to unpack there, and definitely we all have to at some point, make that handshake. Private sector, government, all stakeholders to actually make this a reality. And